From the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis, it's a special edition of More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. Welcome to the NFL Scouting Combine, everyone. I'm Dave Bacon. We will talk the Browns' positioning in the AFC North in this show. We'll also get a national perspective of just how good the Browns can be. We'll also talk with Doug Lesmerises about the Buckeyes, who will be joining NFL teams trying to impress at this scouting combine. But we begin with what the Browns will be looking for both in free agency and the upcoming NFL draft. And who better to talk to about that than cleveland.com's Browns beat reporter, Kay Cabot. Mary Kay, first of all, what do you think free agency? What positions, what areas do you think the Browns might look to because of strength of this free agent class?
Well, I think they'll look at a little bit of everything. Just like in the draft, it's a strong defensive free agency class as well. So I think they'll look around for some help in the secondary, linebackers, defensive line, you name it. So that's one thing that they'll look at. They can always find a couple of other receivers if they need them. And again, I don't think they're going to go crazy in free agency. They signed 11, 12 unrestricted free agents last year. I don't think you'll see that many this year. They don't have that many holes on the roster. Last year, they were aggressively overhauling this roster. That's not happening this year. Now I think they need about 5 or 6 impact players to help get this team over the top, and they don't have a crying need at any one position.
Do you think they will look for guys that maybe have played for Coach Wilks on the defensive side of the ball in the past? Is that familiarity something you keep an eye on?
Yeah, I asked him about that too when we had a press conference with him, and he did say that maybe if there are some guys out there that he does have that familiarity with, that he can attract them here. I think the good thing about free agency is the Browns have the right pieces in place, including Baker Mayfield, that guys are going to want to come here. And not just in free agency, but in trades. John Dorsey is very big on trading for guys that need a change of scenery, that for whatever reason they have worn out their welcome perhaps in the place that they're in, sort of like an Antonio Brown in Pittsburgh, although I don't know if he will try to trade for him or not. But, guys like that are in the prime of their career and they just need to be somewhere else.
Well, the other thing that we learned here at the NFL Scouting Combine is both Freddie Kitchens and John Dorsey looking for some specific things here at the Combine.
There's depth along a lot of the positions. It just so happens this year that, the defensive line, to me, truly sticks out over all the other positions.
We really use the combine. I'm from the old school of thought of just tell me what's on tape, per se. That's what Coach Parcells used to say. Just tell me what kind of football player they are. So this week, more for me than anything else, is just to get to know the kid, get to know the person, see what makes him tick. See what makes him mad, see what makes him happy, see what makes him motivated. All the people aspects and the intangibles that you try to get a grasp on during the course of the week for me.
Well, it's defensive line. We all know that. But if you really look in the draft at different positions along the draft, there's some really nice depth in day 2 and early part of day 3. So I think that overall, this draft class is a pretty good draft class, and I think the defensive line really helps that.
Mary Kay, when you talk draft, that's obviously what the Combine leads to. What areas are strengths of this draft? What areas do you think the Browns might look to address in the draft?
Well, it's a very deep defensive class. Everywhere you look, there is one defensive lineman after another, and there will be plenty of good ones when they get to number 17 overall. Just lots of good guys, whether it be defensive end, defensive tackle, you name it. There are a ton. There are the edge rushers and those kinds of guys. There are the run-stuffing defensive tackles. There's one that's kind of controversial, Jeffrey Simmons. He's someone that, like Kareem Hunt, has a video out there from when he was in high school, and he actually, struck a woman, but he has, from all accounts, he has been rehabilitated from that. So would they take a chance on a guy like that? Would they not? You've got guys like Clellan Ferrell from Clemson. You've got a number of guys out there that can help this football team on the defensive side of the ball especially.
Is that the area you think they look for? Obviously, Kareem Hunt, if he is eligible to play, helps the run game quite a bit. That's a guy that was
that you have to have a little bit of everything. They could also use, I think that they could use a very dominant, almost Aaron Donald-like defensive tackle if they can find that guy. And you might be able to get him at number 17.
When you look at what Steve Wilkes brings, that's a guy that's a big-time defensive secondary coach. Does that mean good things for Denzel Ward, you think, in the young defensive players that they have?
Yes, absolutely 100%. He's got such a strong secondary background. It'll be an opportunity for Denzel Ward and some of the other young defensive backs to really step up their game, take it to the next level, and bring out the best in them. And I think that you'll see that, and he's also very big on takeaways, just like these guys were last year, so I would expect that to continue.
As always, we appreciate the time. Mary Kay Cabot, the Browns beat reporter for cleveland.com. You can check her out online or in the pages of the Plain Dealer. Coming up, Browns beat reporter Dan Labbe will talk about the Browns' positioning in the AFC North. More sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. We'll be right back. Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition, a special edition from the NFL Scouting Combine. A little bit of a different feel here with the other teams in the AFC North. The teams in the Browns division had to answer the questions they normally have to answer. Quarterback questions for some, new head coaches for another, and general dysfunction going on in Pittsburgh.
I really don't agree with the perception that there's huge drama within the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room. Again, Coach Tomlin treats our players like men. He gives them the opportunity to be a man, and he tries to grow them not only as professional football players, but as fathers, as brothers, as just as men.
Well, yeah, we could do the poll right here. Raise your hand if you think you can't throw. I don't know what the percentage is, and really, it's not important to us. It doesn't really matter what the talk about it is. It's just talk. It's just noise. We're going to try to build the best offense we can around, our quarterback, which is what you always do. And we believe he's a great football player. He's a great quarterback. How great remains to be seen. That's up to him and us. So, looking forward to seeing what we can get done.
Right out of the gate, huh? John Ross. So the question's on John Ross. Okay. We have had no discussions internally or externally on John Ross. So I don't know where that came from. That's out of the Ready, Fire, Aim School of Journalism, I guess. But it's fake news, I guess maybe is the best way to put that. But we have had no discussions, and that's not in our plans.
Antonio Brown, as we've acknowledged, we are looking into the possibility of trading him. What we've also acknowledged is we will only make a trade if it benefits the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he knows that, his representation knows that. That's been clearly explained, and we're willing to take a look. And if there's something that can be done to benefit both sides, great. If not, then we'll deal with that when we get to it.
Well, let's welcome in Browns beat reporter for cleveland.com, Dan Labbe. And Dan, how nice was it to listen to the AFC North teams have to deal with a new coach, some quarterback questions, and some general dysfunction over in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, the new coach, obviously the Browns have one, but it's a guy that was here, had success as an offensive coordinator. You hear Kevin Colbert talking about Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. You hear John Ross from Duke Tobin. Are they going to trade him? He says no. So much going on in the North, and the Browns just kind of are here to fill needs and kind of complement their roster, and it just sort of shows the trajectory, I think, of where everyone's going right now.
And does it really show that the division is kind of there for the taking, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I think there's a lot of work to be done. I would never count out the Steelers, even without Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. The Browns haven't even beaten them in forever, so I wouldn't count them out. The Bengals, they're certainly on the downside, but you just never know with that football team, with Andy Dalton coming back. And, of course, the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, still that great defense. I think they're probably the biggest threat right now, the most stable of that group of teams right now. But, yeah, I think the AFC North is wide open.
Have there been an offseason where there are fewer questions for the Browns since you've been covering them?
I don't think there has been, actually, and I think a big part of that is you have your quarterback. So we're here at the Combine, and there's nothing to talk about on that front. Baker Mayfield's going to be the quarterback. We don't really have to care about the quarterbacks when they talk to the media on Friday. That part is stable. The head coach is stable. We don't know what he'll do on Sundays when the time comes, but you feel really good about what he did as offensive coordinator. So I just think it's having a roster, having some stability at the GM position, and having a quarterback. That's what really makes the difference.
What about the other teams in the division? You mentioned the Ravens, and their defense is very good, but they're releasing veterans. They're retooling their entire offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the life of a franchise, right? Guys get expensive, and you got to let some guys walk. You can't re-sign guys. You have to make difficult decisions, like the Steelers too. But again, the Ravens are hoping they have a quarterback in Lamar Jackson. And the thing I always have loved about the Ravens is they know who they are. And Eric DeCosta stood up there and said, we play defense. We're a good defensive team. So they have an identity, and they're going to work to stick with that identity. They're going to run the football on offense. And that's what the Browns want to be. You want to know what the Cleveland Browns are year to year.
Are they getting closer to that? Are they getting closer to establishing an identity, being the Cleveland Browns?
I think they are, and a big part of that, again, is Baker Mayfield. And now you've brought in Todd Monken as your offensive coordinator to pair with Freddie Kitchens. So this is going to be a wide-open offense, some air raid concepts. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and I think that's really going to be the identity. This is a team that can score a lot of points. They're going to be creative offensively, and I think that's what the Browns are going to be known for moving forward.
How much fun are you having talking about the Browns potentially being the top team in the AFC North? That's got to be something that is new to you as well.
I don't know if I would call it fun or scary. I mean, it's a crazy proposition to think that maybe this time next year we're talking about how the Browns build on a division title. Obviously, again, there's a lot that has to go into that, but it's a bizarre thing to think that the Browns could be contenders in the AFC North.
Dan Labbe, we appreciate the insight as always. Dan Labbe, you can read him every day. Cleveland.com, he is your Browns beat reporter. We know Browns fans are excited about what lies ahead. What is the national perspective about where the Cleveland Browns are? That's coming up straight ahead on More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition, a special edition from the NFL Scouting Combine.
Your basement is damp, dirty, and not somewhere you want to spend time. Let Naturestone Flooring transform your basement into a true extension of your home. Naturestone's proprietary hydrostatic ports allow water to simply evaporate, so no mold or mildew. Plus, it has a higher insulation rating than carpet and is warmer than linoleum, vinyl, wood, or tile.
Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today and get up to 50% off.
Naturestone is the affordable basement floor solution that beautifies your home. Naturestone, the only concrete solution.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition, a special edition from the NFL Scouting Combine here in Indianapolis. I'm Dave Bacon. We know Cleveland is excited about the Browns. Freddie Kitchens, Baker Mayfield, John Dorsey. The town is excited. They feel the Browns are real. The question is, how are the Browns viewed nationally by the guys who cover the NFL day in and day out?
I think there's an excitement around the Browns that I haven't sensed in a long time. And I think when the schedule comes out in April, we're going to see how the NFL feels about the Browns now. I think they're going to have multiple primetime games, especially early in the season before maybe the dust settles and maybe we were wrong about the Browns. But I think with Baker Mayfield there's a different vibe, there's a different attitude. It's been so long since there's been an athlete in that organization. that generates the kind of excitement that we see from Baker Mayfield and the kind of hope. I mean, there's real hope now. Who knows where it's going to go from here? There may be some hiccups. There may be some issues. There may be a fundamental difference for Freddie Kitchens being offensive coordinator versus being the head coach, and there may be some growing pains there. But I like where the defense is. I like where the offense is, and I like where Baker Mayfield is already after 1 year. Short list franchise quarterback in the making. Not there yet, but he's in the making. What he did last year was phenomenal, and I think it's fun again to watch the Browns and root for the Browns, and the fans have been waiting for a long time. They deserve it.
Freddie Kitchens, is that important that you kept that consistent voice in your young quarterback's ear?
It's important to keep the voice, but he's not going to be in the same spot he was in. Now he's the head coach, and how different will it be now? How much of that voice will be in Baker Mayfield's ear? You know, I want to give Freddie Kitchens the benefit of the doubt, and I hope that he does well. But I kind of looked at having Baker Mayfield, having Myles Garrett, having Denzel Ward, having that great young nucleus of players. I thought there was an opportunity to make a signature hire. And it's hard to call it a signature hire because nobody knows. And I don't know who else is out there that they would have really wanted. Man, I thought Bruce Arians would have been good. Bruce Arians was interested. They weren't interested in him. But I'm cautiously optimistic that keeping him around is going to be helpful. But again, it is a fundamentally different role.
Last thing I'll ask you, harder to go from where the Browns were to 500 or from 500 to that playoff team?
I think it's harder to go from 500 to the playoff team, and the goal is to consistently be in that conversation, to have a team that every year is in the hunt after Thanksgiving. You know, everybody always says we want to win the Super Bowl. The real motivation is always be still alive for the postseason in December. So the kids want the jerseys. You know, the people go to the games in December when it's cold and it's miserable, and there's excitement there as you pull into the end of the season and hopefully get to the postseason.
It's interesting where the Browns are. I mean, last year was such a, not tumultuous because that makes it negative, but just there's a lot of stuff that happened in the offseason, a lot of trades. You know, Landry had Tyrod, and everyone knew they had the draft picks. I mean, there was a lot of movement and a lot of players. I'm not sure, they still have work to do, but I'm not sure this is an organization that has to be super, super active. And part of the problem is, like, you know, you look at the free agent class, it's fine. There's definitely good players. I don't want to say there's not good players, but every free agent would have to beat out someone on the Browns roster. So, like, where's that going to be, right? I mean, you sign a starting receiver, okay, well, first of all, you're going to pay more than Jarvis. Second of all, you know, probably not. Second of all, like, where do they actually fit in? Does this stunt the growth of some of the young guys? Like, so I think the Browns will do some things, but I'm not sure it'll be like a crazy, crazy spending offseason because I don't know if it needs to be.
Cleveland Browns fans are excited about the Browns. Are they for real from a national perspective? Are they kind of on the cusp of becoming, you know, a playoff team?
Yeah, I mean, this looks like to me, and you know, we've sort of been here before with the other Browns for real or not. I mean, this, you know, the 7-4 Brian Hoyer team, for instance, was one where I sort of thought maybe, like, to me, this is as close as they have come since I've been following this to being on the cusp of being really good. You know, I loved the head coach hire. I can't believe they did. I still can't believe they did it. It's funny because there were so many outside people, you know, from the consultants or other GMs or other coaches who are like, why don't they just hire Freddie? Like why? You know, and just nobody thought they would do it. And for a while, I didn't think they were going to. And then once it get down to the end, I'm like, it has to. It literally has to be. And it made so much sense. And then, you know, you got a really good talent base. Obviously, you got a quarterback. So it's like, think about how many fewer things they have to worry about now that they have a quarterback. I mean, I think this is going to be a team that will be good and probably good for a while.
How much credit does John Dorsey get for what he did in the draft and the trades and just... I mean, the roster upgrade is significant from when he took over. It
is, and it was sort of creative. A lot of it was done creatively in different ways. You know, the trade for Tyrod didn't work. Fine. Trade for Landry did. You know, Randall, interesting one. You know, I think a lot of the draft picks, you know, he did some things in the draft where, I mean, people were really surprised. I mean, Denzel Ward, like, you know, who could believe they took him? Taking Baker number 1, like, I'm still pissed at myself for not thinking about it with an open enough mind. They're like, okay, well, if Baker's good enough for the Jets at 3, why wouldn't he be good enough for the Browns at 1? I mean, it never computed until like a couple days before the draft. And one thing about Dorsey is he has conviction. So he is not a groupthink guy. He believes what he believes, and he is all. I mean, honestly, like through his whole career in Kansas City, he's drafted well. This is looking like it's going to be really good.
Last thing I'll ask you: how real is what we saw from Baker Mayfield, and how good can he be?
I mean, I think it's as real as it gets. Now, I mean, he's going to go into his second year. He's going to face the tough part. And I think guys like, Deshaun Watson faced it. Mahomes will face it next year, where everyone's game planning for you, and it's just a little different. Now, he's got some really good coaches. I thought Todd Monken was a fantastic hire. Sort of a good recruiting victory for Freddie Kitchens and Dorsey. So you got some good coaches to help him through that. I think he's very real. It's just going to be harder this year because everyone has spent this offseason game planning for him.
I think they're on the cusp of being for real. I mean, I don't want to crown them yet, but I mean, if you got to ask me my, February of 2019 proclamation on the Cleveland Browns, I would be shocked if the Cleveland Browns aren't in at least a playoff conversation come next December. Not going to say they get in it, but a lot of the key vital components you want for a successful football team are all there, or they're starting to formulate. Offensive line, franchise quarterback, holy running back, Nick Chubb, some young receivers, Jarvis Landry the leader, so the offense, there you go. Defensive line, you have some players, or defensive side, I should say, there's some players there that are certainly special, but I don't think it's a special unit yet, but it's getting there, and I'm pumped for what Cleveland can be.
You are a former quarterback.
Yeah.
What do you see in Baker Mayfield that maybe most people don't see?
He's just really a natural gifted thrower of the football. I think that's the first thing. Like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Kyler Murray who's coming out in the draft, I don't care what object they pick up, he can throw it. If he wanted to be a baseball pitcher in seventh grade and said, I'm going to play Major League Baseball, I bet you Baker Mayfield would be a Major League Baseball pitcher. He's just special that way. But I think the biggest thing is his persona, I think, is what's really jumped out to me. Forget the physical ability, which is awesome, and the size doesn't matter because he's amazing in the pocket and still keeping his eyes down the field. But he's changed around almost the culture of the organization with his, bravado and his willingness to be a leader and maybe be the bad guy and not shake Hugh Jackson's hand because you're not on the squad. Those things rub off on an organization and a team, and I think that's what's kind of cool about him too.
How tough is it? Is it tougher to go from where the Browns were to 500 or from 500 to playoff?
This will be probably the tougher push here because now it's going to get into all the little intricate details. The New England Patriots haven't been lucky for 18 years in a row. They win a lot of these tight, close football games where we go, New England's so lucky because they've been in those situations. They practice all the little intricacies that make a team successful. A quarterback, having to learn, when to take a chance, when not to take a chance. All of those things come into play, and that's, of course, the last learning curve that Cleveland will have to go through, and it will be tough, and especially you're not in an easy division either. But I think there's the player and the players and DNA and the coaching staff that are there to make it happen.
Last thing I'll ask you:
Yeah.
How important is it to keep the consistent voice in Baker Mayfield's ear from a quarterback's perspective? They kept Freddie Kitchens, who did good as a offensive coordinator. How important was it to make him the head coach?
I think it's huge. I really do. Instead of we can go around the league and look at some other quarterbacks and go, wow, they haven't been as successful as I thought they would. And I'd go, well, look, it's third year and it's a second offensive coordinator. Or, too many instances like that where I was thoroughly impressed with what Freddie Kitchens brought to the football team when he took over as the play caller and really designing the offensive game plan. I thought it was pretty special. And to build on that, I think was very important for a young quarterback like Baker Mayfield, who seems to really respect and like Freddie Kitchens. I think that was the best option available, rather than him going somewhere else and being an offensive coordinator and doing a good job and then being a head coach somewhere else 2 years from now, and all the Cleveland fans go, damn, he could have been our head coach. So I think it was a smart move, and I'm pumped to see what Baker and the whole offense and Freddie Kitchens got in store for us this year.
Time to take a quick time out on More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. When we return, we'll talk to Doug Lesmerises, and we're talking Buckeyes, who are here to impress.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
Here, let me show you how this works.
it takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
It takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling to bring the heat when things get chilly. Find us at 440-449-HEAT.
Ohio State University puts out some very fine football players. I can hark back to the days of, where are we going here? We could go back to Bill Willis. We could go back to Paul Warfield. I mean, there's some really good football players here.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon, a special NFL Combine edition. Well, plenty of college players will be lifting weights, running, and meeting with NFL teams, all in an effort to impress them and improve their draft stock. Plenty of Ohio State Buckeyes here, and who better to talk to about the Buckeyes than cleveland.com columnist Doug Lesmerises. Quarterback Dwayne Haskins trying to break some trends here.
Yeah, no Big Ten quarterback has been drafted in the first round since 1995, Kerry Collins, which I've written about a million times over the years. He is definitely going to break that. The last Ohio State quarterback taken in the first round was Art Schlichter. So we're talking 4 decades, basically. The question is, who's going to go get him? So Dwayne Haskins is going to throw here. I don't know that Dwayne Haskins really has that much on the line here, because I think he is who he is. I don't think he's going to test great, but he doesn't need to. He's not going to be a quarterback who's going to wow with his athleticism, and he's going to throw here, and I think he'll throw well, but the tape shows that he throws well. So whether it's the Giants at 6, the Jaguars at 7, somebody moving up to get him, I don't know that the Combine's huge for Dwayne Haskins, because he is what he is, and he's pretty good, and he's either the number 1 or number 2 quarterback with Kyler Murray.
He is a guy that appears to be built for success in the NFL, I think. Is that, you've seen him play more than I have.
So he's built for success in like the old NFL. He's a traditional pocket passer, but when you think about the guys who have gone in the first round lately, Carson Wentz, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, they're all really good athletes. They all can move. They all can throw on the run. They can run when needed. He's much more of a traditional guy. He's much more of a Tom Brady kind of guy, maybe more like Josh Rosen, maybe a little more like Jared Goff. So those guys can succeed, but you've got to hit all your throws then, because I think he's not going to do a lot out of structure. He's going to do very well in structure. So when he gets compared to a guy like Kyler Murray, he's a completely different quarterback. But what he does, I think he does as well as any recent quarterback in the draft.
A guy that has a lot on the line now is Nick Bosa. That's a guy that was aiming at this.
He gave up the rest of his college football season to be healthy for now. I've talked to his dad several times since the decision was made for Nick to sit out after the 3rd game of the season. He tore an abdominal muscle against TCU. And they wanted him to be healthy for this, and he is healthy for this. They have said that he was getting healthy right like at the beginning of January, right around that Rose Bowl time. He's been training in LA. I think they feel good about where he is. And again, like Nick Bosa, I think will test well here. But what's he going to do? Rise from the number 1 prospect? And he's certainly not going to fall. So again, like in terms of Ohio State guys who have a lot on the line, I think all he has to do is show he's healthy, and he's either going to be the number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft.
And he's another guy that's built for success at the NFL. What he does well, NFL values big time.
Yeah, I mean, he's physical. Like his brother Joey, he has great technique. He was taught very well by Larry Johnson at Ohio State. He's got defensive end blood, genes in the blood. I guess your genes aren't in your blood. Wherever your genes are in your body, he has them. His dad and his uncle were first-round draft picks in the NFL. He's got it all. Again, as long as he is who he is, he's going to be really good.
Who are some guys that maybe aren't as, on top of the radar, that are flying under the radar for the Buckeyes to keep an eye on as well?
Yeah, so they have 10 guys here overall, which I think is 3rd among all the colleges. Kendall Sheffield is a guy at corner. They have a great history at Ohio State, from Bradley Roby to Eli Apple to Garyon Conley to Marshawn Lattimore to Denzel Ward with the Browns, all first-round corners out of Ohio State. Kendall Sheffield's not going to be a first-rounder. He had a really good Rose Bowl. He's really fast. He's almost as fast as Denzel Ward. I think he's going to turned some heads with his 40 time here, and I think he might end up as like a third-round guy, but he's going to run really fast. That's a guy to watch for in combine drills. Draymond Jones on the defensive line, really athletic, not a run-stopping defensive tackle, but everybody wants pass rush from tackle. I'm curious how he jumps, his agility to drills, that kind of stuff. Also, I think his bench press will matter because he's not a run stopper. He's an athlete. He's a long, lean athlete. I think people are curious maybe how he fits exactly. And then an interesting guy at a not very interesting position is Michael Jordan. He played center at Ohio State. He played guard at Ohio State. And I think he might be a tackle. I think that might be his best position. He has a lot to show, I think, here. He came out a year early. He's not a first rounder, but I think if he tests well, he will be a guy that will be in the second round, a very high offensive line draft pick with a lot of versatility.
Another guy who's a local guy from Akron, Paris Campbell. That's a guy with some speed.
Another super fast guy, Paris Campbell, is thick too. Like, he's not this scrawny guy who puts up a 40 and can't get hit. He's really strong. It's like almost, I did a story about him as a sprinter, and like, he doesn't have a sprinter's body. He's like built, and he's super fast. I don't think he's a down the field receiver in the NFL. I think you want to get him the ball with short, quick passes in space. But I think for the right team in the second round, if you use him the right way, he can change games for you. And so I think he's going to confirm some things, I think, with some very good testing numbers. But when you put together what I think he's going to size, strength-wise, plus that speed, I think it's going to be a pretty rare package.
What are your thoughts about Jones? He's a guy that people talk about in the second round, maybe even sneaking up into the first round. If he does well and tests well here at the Combine, do you see him potentially creeping up into that first round?
Yeah, it's hard. Defensive line is stacked in this draft, as we know. A lot of people have the Browns getting a really good defensive lineman, maybe a defensive tackle at 17. I don't think he can do much to get quite to that range. I don't think he'd be on the board for the Browns at 17. But if he tests really well, everybody wants pass rush from the interior now. If he can give you some confidence that, yes, he's good enough against the run, but he can be a game changer against the pass with his drills here and that kind of thing, I think, yeah, like maybe late first round, early second round. I think with the way the game is trending, he could fit a lot of those things and maybe move up that high.
It is set up for the Buckeyes to have a number of first, second, and third round guys. I mean, we're talking about how many guys that are going to be in the first couple rounds.
Well, I wrote a story about this a couple months ago. It's probably not going to happen, but it's not impossible that Nick Bosa and Dwayne Haskins could go 1-2. Mm-hmm. Nick Bosa is still the number one pick in most mock drafts right now. And if you like a quarterback, we have seen over the years teams go and get that guy. So the Niners sitting at number 2 right now aren't going to take Dwayne Haskins, but maybe you get in a bidding war and somebody jumps up. That's been done before. It's happened a couple times, I think 4 or 5 times in the history of the draft, but that's what they're talking about. You have 2 sure guys in the top 10, Draymond maybe in the first round, and then they're going to have a lot of guys off the board in rounds 2 through 5. I think at least 8 or 9 of these guys will be drafted, and that'll be another good draft for the Buckeyes.
Well, there's plenty of excitement not only about the Buckeyes who are getting ready to become NFL players in the upcoming NFL draft, but about our Cleveland Browns as well. The consensus is the Browns are legitimate NFL playoff contenders. How about that? That'll do it for this edition of More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition, a special edition from the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Keep it simple.
Leaders lead. Leaders lead.
Let's go! Stop whining!
Again, go again, yes! You gotta rotate, go, Stone!
The High School Sports Insider is brought to you by Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. By the Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. By Spectrum News 1, always Ohio, always refreshing, always on, exclusively on Spectrum. By Dominion East Ohio, Dominion, it all starts here. And by Classic Teleproductions. March is here and the madness is in full swing. It will be pretty much a steady stream of athletes earning the title of state champion A great time, as always, to hop on board this edition of the High School Sports Insider. Along with Bill Castrovince, I'm Dave Bacon.
On today's show, we've got some bees who are buzzing the court and some felines who are fantastic on ice. Plus, we've got the big man from Brush and a special story about a team manager, some thoughtful athletes, and one cool jacket.
We begin tonight with one of the all-time best girls high school basketball players in the state of Ohio, Canton-McKinley's Kirsten Bell. Bell is one of just 4 players to win Ohio's Ms. Basketball 2 times. In a couple of weeks, she'll likely earn her 3rd Ohio Ms. Basketball. No girl has ever done that before, and the only boy to do it, a guy named LeBron James. Bell will play in the McDonald's All-American game coming up in a couple of months, but right now her focus is on trying to lead Canton-McKinley to a state championship. Canton-McKinley's Kirsten Bell, our Cuyahoga Community College student athlete with a future. Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. On the basketball court, Canton-McKinley's Kirsten Bell can pretty much do everything. She can run and score, sees the court extremely well and can pass, plays defense, and just understands the game well beyond her years. She's ranked among the country's best high school players and is always smiling and having fun on the court.
I love basketball. I've been loving basketball since I was a little kid. My mom said my first word was ball, so she knew I was going to get into sports, but basketball wasn't my only sport. I played football, softball, I did track, so I was like a more athletic person because my dad, he was very athletic.
I would say versatility and dominance are the adjectives that I would describe, because at 6'1", she could play the point if we need her to, but we can have her go down low into the post. And she can score from every aspect of the floor, so not too many kids are able to do that.
Watch Bell play for any length of time, and she is the definition of a matchup nightmare. Strong enough to play on the block, fast enough to get by the guards, and always looking to improve.
I want to work on my left hand, get better at my left hand, because like my first 3 years I really wasn't using my left hand, but my senior year I got better and better, so I'm just going to continue to work on my left hand and work on my weaknesses.
She has to go to bed every night thinking that she's got to score 25 to 30 points for us to win, and that's a lot of pressure for an 18-year-old, so she comes with that true test and competitive spirit night in and night out.
Bell has been selected to play in the McDonald's All-American game. She will likely become the first ever 3-time winner of Ms. Basketball in Ohio. As a point of reference, LeBron James is the only 3-time winner of Mr. Basketball.
It keeps me motivated. Just hearing it from people, like I don't really like to brag about it. I'm not really a cocky person, so I let people talk to me about it, smile, thank them. But my main goal is the championship, get a ring, and that's all it is.
If you're getting the idea that Bell is a great teammate, you're right on. Next year, she'll head south a little bit to play for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
I love the Coach McGuff. He's a great guy. I love his personality. He's a great coach. He has a great system, great program. I think I fit perfectly in, and it's close to home, so that's another reason why I picked it.
Confidence. She thinks that we can beat any opponent. She instills confidence in her teammates by getting them the ball. She's a kind of an emotional leader when the game is close. Anytime that you have a 2-time Miss Basketball, you're very fortunate, because as you said, that doesn't come around very often.
Every week we bring you stories about high school athletes and teams. Well, today we feature a team manager. Dakota Feist is always helping everyone around him succeed. And in turn, Feist is working hard to overcome academic challenges. And he's got a lot of support from all the athletes, coaches, and teachers at East Palestine High School. And as we find out, Dakota is pretty cool too. Let's go to Columbiana County and meet Dakota Feist, this week's Ohio Lottery Partners in Education Shining Star. Every team needs a team manager, and Dakota Feist is proud to help 2 squads at East Palestine High School.
I help the team. In football, I help them fill up the water jugs, and in basketball, I help the coach.
If anything needs to be done and we can't do it because we're practicing or we're running a drill, he'll go and do it for us. He'll run the clock, he'll go down and get more basketballs or whatever we need. He's always there to help us out in any way possible.
Feist would do anything for anyone, and the only thing he ever wanted was a Letterman jacket.
I was like, why do you want a Letterman so bad, Dakota? Because I take him home every single day, so I talk to him about these things.
and he said that he makes you look cool.
Sherry came up with an idea. He and his friends secretly asked everyone on the football and basketball teams to chip in and buy Dakota his own jacket.
He just does so much for us, and we decided, like, we all always get noticed, like all of us doing things in sports and stuff like that, and he just over there, he just does little things for us, and we're like, okay, you need something. Like, here you go.
In December, Parker and his friends presented Dakota with his own Letterman jacket on his birthday.
The night we gave it to him, it was halftime at the JV game, and me, Parker, Abel, and Dominic, we all went out to half court, and Parker gave a little speech, and we gave him his present.
I don't know, there was like just a vibe or like a feeling that went through our body, like it was like a good thing that we did that, and his face was just priceless.
Dakota has worn that jacket every day since then, and he can't stop saying thank you.
Thanks for everything you done for me.
Every time you see him, you see with that Letterman jacket, and you know it's Dakota because it says Feist on the back. He was very surprised, and we were very happy to see that.
By the way, Dakota is planning on helping the baseball team in the spring. If you know a student who shines in the classroom, go to OhioLottery.com. Look for the About section. In there, you'll find the Supporting Education tab that has all the information you need.
Stay with us. We're just getting things rolling on this week's show. When we return, we'll check in on some cats on the ice and some bees who are buzzing opponents. High School Sports Insider will be right back.
I decided to go to Tri-C because it was easy to commute to. I was able to start Kent State as a junior. All my credits from Tri-C transferred to Kent State. I will be able to earn my bachelor's degree in 4 years. I saved a lot of money starting at Tri-C. My name is Stephanie Bain, and I earned my first degree at Cuyahoga Community College.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Thanks for hanging with us on this edition of the High School Sports Insider. The future for Brecksville boys basketball is very bright. The Bees have a couple of sophomores and a freshman who are making significant contributions this year. Present looks pretty good too. Brecksville, led by four-year starter Kenny Ganley, earned the third seed in the Lakewood District and a first-round bye in the state tournament. The Bees are focused on doing some little things that could add up to a deep tournament run. Brecksville boys basketball, our team of the week. With a 17-5 record in the regular season and a league championship, Brecksville's season has to be considered a success by any measure. But the Bees head into the tournament with some areas of emphasis.
We've been preaching possessions, turnovers, rebounds, and still not there. Still not there. We shoot the ball pretty well, so a little bit of camouflage on when you don't rebound the ball well, or if you do turn it over. Tonight we didn't shoot the ball as well as we normally do, and those possessions really make the difference.
As a team, we've been sharing the ball good. We play well together, and there's a lot of shooters on this team, which help. So,
as good as the present is, the future is even brighter for Brecksville. The Bees rely on several sophomores and a freshman to play significant minutes, and the young guys have really stepped up.
I think we have great chemistry. I think we share the ball very well. We shoot the ball very well. Even from tonight, I know it wasn't our best game performance.
To have that group of kids, not just young kids that are playing, but a special group that gets it, that enjoys preparing for games, that are smart basketball players, that play the right way, making the extra pass, that don't care who gets the credit. I mean, we had Jeremy Genazzo tonight. Nobody will even know what he does, but he just face guards and defends the best player all the time and loves it, So yeah, we are really excited.
Add in the steady hand of some seniors, including four-year starter Kenny Ganley, who recently scored his 1,000th career point, and the mix has been a successful one for these Bees.
It's very important for me as a senior to be a leader, to the younger guys especially, because we're a young team. So yeah, just leading them the right way. With the mismatches, my coach has always set me up well for that. If there's a littler guy on me, post him up. If there's a big guy, drive by him.
They're just fun. They're fun to be around. They love to work, which is a really good characteristic that's helped us get here this far. And it helps when you have a couple pretty good seniors, even the guys that don't get all the recognition, helping them through the tough times.
Meanwhile, the high school hockey season will wrap up this weekend. St. Ignatius and Gilmore finished in a tie for first place in the final state poll. The Ice Cats are looking for their fourth title in a row, and they've been traveling outside of Ohio to find opponents the last couple of seasons. Let's go behind the scenes with the St. Ignatius hockey team. This week's All Access. St. Ignatius has won 6 state titles in hockey, but Greg Langermeyer is the only player to score a game-winning goal in overtime in the finals.
That game just in general, 4-4 going into double overtime, it was pretty surreal. Not just the goal, but everything that was happening, everything we went through the whole season, kind of just all led up to that moment.
Ignatius is now going for their 4th championship in a row, with a team loaded with juniors.
We got to keep that going. We got to learn from what they've been doing. We got to keep working hard every single day to achieve that main goal that other classes have been doing before us.
We got a lot of skilled guys out here, but along with coaches' system like toughness and grittiness, along with the skill, I think it really gels together. So I think using that, we've done pretty well.
There are 7 seniors who want to go 4 for 4 in their high school career, including Benny Severino, who's in his 3rd year as a starting goalie.
Yeah, growing up playing with Benny on a few separate teams, we both played really hard travel teams, and I think that both prepared him and a lot of us for being able to come here.
To have a guy like Ben in net, someone that you can count on day in and day out, he's never going to let you down. I mean, it just gives the rest of the team that much more confidence to go out there and play.
Ignatius had more of a home ice advantage this season, with 8 home games in the regular season alone, as opposed to 7 all of last year.
It's definitely harder than if we weren't traveling so much, but guys find time, whether it's at the hotels, studying, or on the bus trips. A lot of times people pull their homework out and get it done then.
The wife, would rather have us home and the kids and us, so we want to be here, but we understood when we undertook this that we had to go out there and prove to other teams that it'd be worth the trip to Cleveland to play us, so that's what we're trying to do.
If you missed some of today's show or want to see past episodes, they're online and free. What a deal, I know. Head to citybeat-tv.com. That's citybeat-tv.com.
Coming up next, we'll travel to the land of the Arcs and meet a big-time recruit. And our Insider Classic has made a right turn and ended up in Albuquerque. Stay tuned.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
We can warn someone when their drink isn't safe.
And disrupt the situation.
We can
get someone a cab.
Or walk them home safely.
We can make campuses safer for our friends.
Our roommates.
Our classmates. Our fellow human beings.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can intervene.
It's on us.
All of us.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
The High School Sports Insider rolls along. Thanks for riding shotgun with us. The Brush Arcs are a team to keep an eye on in the upcoming state tournament. The number 2 seed in the Euclid District, Brush has a force inside, Big John Hughley, a physical presence who has surprising agility and quickness. Hughley will make Brush a tough matchup for anyone. Big John is approaching 20 scholarship offers already in his junior season. John Hughley from Brush, our Spectrum News 1 Game Breaker. At 6'6" and 260 pounds, John Hughley is hard to miss on the basketball court. But the way he shoots and is able to run and jump and move on the court is what has college scouts really excited.
I think it all starts with
each year he's lost weight. He's committed to getting his body together. He's in the gym constantly. He's always texting or calling, can he get in the gym, can he get in the weight room? And that's credit to all these guys. Have gotten better each year, including himself. So with the weight he's lost, he has more hops. He can run faster, he can seal, he can get around and play defense better. So credit to him and all these guys for putting in the work.
The work has paid off big time for Hughley. He's only a junior and is ranked as the top big man in his class in Ohio, a top 5 college prospect in the state overall, and among the best in the country. His play in the low post is tough to stop.
I'll take a lot into me. Once you know you're a good post player, they'll start doubling down. I got shooters, and then Dre. I'll wait for a second because I know there'll always be a double team coming. And then I'll look out.
And then you're kind of kicking it out at the double. What if the double team is slow coming?
I'll go to work.
When Hughley goes to work on the offensive end, it's usually good for the Arcs, bad for the defense.
There isn't that many guys his size, and what he's been able to do now is he's thinking the game, he's maturing, he's adding to what the kids call his bag. Okay, he's got moves he can go to. He's also running the floor much harder. He's going and he's getting out of position rebounds, like going to a different space, cleaning it up for someone else.
The scariest part of Hughley's game, he's just really scratching the surface of how good he can be. John takes pride in being more than just a scorer.
It's a real good, like my coaches say, don't let nothing inside, so just try to go block everything. But if you don't block it, just wall up, go straight up. Running harder, rebounding, using more of my left hand a lot.
Hughley's development over the last 2 years has been dramatic. He has 17 scholarship offers. That number grows pretty much any time another scout sees him play.
I think the one thing that we're striving to do each day is take it one day at a time and also make sure that every day we develop. I mean, our goal is to be the #1 development program in Northeastern Ohio. We want everyone to get better each year.
It is time to fire up the Wayback Machine for this week's Insider Classic. It has been a long and winding road for Carlton Bragg. At Villangela St. Joe's, Bragg won 2 state titles as a McDonald's All-American. He played 2 seasons at Kansas, coming off the bench in just about every game. In his junior season, he transferred to Arizona State and then transferred to the University of New Mexico. Now a redshirt junior, Carlton is averaging 10 points a game and a team-high 8 rebounds for the Lobos. Let's go back to 2015 as Carlton Bragg becomes an Insider Classic. It was a special day at Viking Village, the storied program celebrating another big-time basketball recruit, as Carlton Bragg announced his college decision. With his teammates behind him, his family beside him, and hoop fans across the country waiting, Bragg announced one school, but showed another.
Next year I will be playing University of Kansas.
Hey, give the kid a break. But yes, Bragg is going to Kansas. He got a second chance at the hat thing, and you can tell he was relieved to get the recruiting monkey off his 6'10" frame.
I just wanted to get it over with, a lot of stress kept coming on me, and I just wanted to go forward with my season. So I just got it out the way.
A 5-star recruit and arguably the best senior in the state, Bragg had to turn down 2 other basketball powers, Kentucky and Illinois.
It gets to a point where it's, it's like you're shopping for, you're deciding between a Lexus and a BMW. I mean, Carlton was you're buying a luxury car, so it's just hard to make a wrong choice.
Kansas felt like home to him, especially after experiencing Midnight Madness at Fog Allen Fieldhouse. As a sophomore, Bragg helped the Vikings win the state title in 2013. Last year, he was named All-Ohio, but VASJ fell short in the D3 final. Now, Carlton is excited to play with his friends one more time and add to the school's legacy.
I'm working with my brothers on the team, Derek Parker, Brian Parker, Simon Texas, Jeff Rudinsky, Javon McClain, Mo Johnson, they're like real brothers to me. I'm gonna miss everything about it. And just being at the school, I just love the school so much.
We want you to get more involved in the show, and you can through social media. Follow us on Twitter. We're at HS Sports Insider and at Dave Bacon Sports. Tweet us your story ideas or your pictures showing your school spirit. We'll use them in a future show. We're still plugging away on Facebook as well. Head to our page and like us. We're at High School Sports Insider.
Speaking of which, the tweets of the week are coming up next, and they are awesome.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I've got a 4-year degree. I wasn't really able to find a job despite putting out over 100 applications, so I decided to go back to school. Tri-C really did change my life. After getting my degree from Tri-C, I'm working in the IT field. I work at a job I love. Life is good, thanks to Tri-C. My name is Josh Gatka, and I received my IT degree from Tri-C.
Welcome back inside the High School Sports Insider. For the first 25 minutes or so of the show, we've told you what we think is important. Now it's your turn. We always want to hear about great performances, crazy shots, or high school kids just having fun. When you see something like that, you have to let us know about it. A few rules: you have to use 280 characters or less. Pictures or videos, even better. It's time for the tweets of the week. This one comes to us from Brecksville High School. The Bees Hooping Stars' Ethan Van Dunn hits the half-court shot. The Hooping Stars are coached by varsity girls and boys basketball players at Brecksville, and Ethan Van Dunn hits the half-courter. A classy move by the St. Ignatius hockey team featured earlier in the show. The Wildcats allow Olmsted Falls senior cancer survivor McKenna Workman to realize a dream. She scores her first ever goal in her high school career. Well done, McKenna and the Ice Cats. Keep those tweets coming. We want your story ideas or pictures showing your school spirit. Tweet those to us. We're at HS Sports Insider or at Dave Bacon Sports. Use hashtag HSSI Ohio. Again, that's at HS Sports Insider or at Dave Bacon Sports. Use hashtag HSSI Ohio. We'll use a few of them on upcoming shows as the tweets of the week. Now we are all out of time on this week's show. Before we go, we want to thank you for taking the time to join us. We hope to see you back here next week, same time, same place, when again we'll have some of the best high school sports stories from all across Ohio.
And as always, thanks for supporting high school athletics. Have a great night.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.